Today we conclude with the readings, basically the whole book of Jonah. It's a very short book. But I think especially the ending of the book of Jonah can actually be a really good long gut check / commentary on the Lord's Prayer, in which where God asks us to forgive, where God forgives us as we forgive those who trespass against us. St. Augustine called this part of the petition of the Our Father the terrifying petition. Because God cannot forgive or renew those who stubbornly cling to old grudges and harbor old wounds. Our unwillingness to forgive others blocks our receiving God's forgiveness in our own lives. And I think we see that in the book of Jonah, where Jonah is basically just waiting for the Lord to completely eradicate the city of Nineveh because of how mean they were to the people of Israel and how sinful they were. And he's like, the Lord's going to do it. He's going to do it. And he just wanted to sit back and enjoy the view. And he wanted this desire, even though the people of Nineveh had repented, is I think sometimes we can kind of fall into that thing where we see other things get in our way of forgiving others. And then there's this plant, like this very random plant that happens in the first reading. And Jonah is more pleased with that plant than the repentant nature of the people of Nineveh. And then what happens? The Lord causes that plant to die. And then Jonah is angry at the Lord for allowing that plant to die. God's response was that the death of a plant that cost Jonah nothing caused him grief, and yet he was ready to see an entire city destroyed. We, like Jonah, can be that way, unforgiving and inconsistent with how we live our lives. I think many of us can be protectors of animal rights and yet have no hesitation with legalizing abortion. Or people who are insistent on their own rights think little about violating the rights of those who are different. People who expect and plan on God's forgiveness of themselves can be very unforgiving of others. People who expect others to be understanding of their own mistakes and their own brokenness can be unrelenting in their harsh judgment of the mistakes of others. The Lord's Prayer reminds us that our judgment on others is really a judgment on ourselves. The prayer, the Our Father prayer, tells us very importantly how we're supposed to respond to the Lord. First, we're called to address him as Father, not in like a formal setting, but the word that Jesus uses, and he uses this 117 times in the Gospels, Abba, which really means Daddy. But then we're also called to forgive others as we are forgiven by God. And we're also promised to not be led into temptation if we turn to the Lord, because we receive the daily bread, the superstantial bread that we receive here in the Eucharist, because the Lord does not fail to give us what we need to go that next level, to forgive others as we are forgiven.